In the hushed corridors of global wealth and influence, there exists a billionaire whose name rarely stirs headlines. Yet his reach extends across media, philanthropy, and even whispers of geopolitics. That man is Pierre Omidyar, the Iranian-born billionaire who built eBay and transformed a simple online auction site into a global empire. With a fortune of $8 to $10 billion, he's often called the richest Iranian-born billionaire alive, wealthier than many politicians and even some presidents. But while they wield armies and offices, Omidyar wields something far subtler: wealth, information, and quiet influence. And today, we uncover the billionaire who may secretly control far more than we think. Welcome to Luxury Buzz, your window into the world's most extravagant fortunes, royal dynasties, and hidden power. If you love untold billionaire stories, hit subscribe, smash that like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss a glimpse of pure opulence. Iranian roots and rise to riches. Pierre Omidyar's story begins far from Silicon Valley's tech corridors. Born in Paris in 1967 to Iranian parents, Omidyar's bloodline carries deep Persian prestige. His grandfather, General Mahmoud Mir Jalali, was a powerful figure in Iran's military establishment during the Pahlavi era, instrumental in building the nation's defense industries. This wasn't just background, it was a lineage of influence. His mother, Elahe Mir Jalali Omidyar, carried forward this cultural legacy by founding the Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute, a foundation dedicated to preserving Persian art, language, and traditions. At the age of 6, Omidyar moved to the U.S. He grew up with one foot in the West and the other in the Persian past, a duality that would later define his influence. By his late 20s, Pierre Omidyar had discovered the power of the internet. In 1995, he launched eBay from his living room, originally called Auction Web. The simple idea of letting strangers buy and sell online would explode into one of the internet's first true empires. Just 3 years later, when eBay went public, Omidyar became a billionaire at 31 years old. As he later joked, "We skipped the regular rich stage and went straight to ridiculous rich." This Iranian-descended engineer had transformed from the grandson of a general into a billionaire tech mogul, the kind whose influence would soon stretch far beyond Silicon Valley. A fortune wrapped in luxury and privacy. Extreme wealth usually comes with flashy yachts, fleets of supercars, and celebrity parties. But Omidyar, he chose a different path. Privacy cloaked in luxury. For years, he lived in one of America's largest private homes, a jaw-dropping 48,000 square foot Nevada mega mansion with 33 bedrooms, 36 bathrooms, and sprawling grounds across 11 acres. Worth more than $23 million, it looked more like a private hotel than a residence. But Omidyar downsized, if you can call it that, to a $17 million oceanfront mansion in Honolulu's elite Kahala neighborhood. Locals know it as the Billionaire's Hawaiian Hideaway, where he lives in reclusive luxury, shielded from cameras. His holdings don't stop there. Omidyar has invested heavily in ultra-luxury resorts, including Montage hotels and resorts and elite properties in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and California's wine country. Unlike Britain's Windsors or the billion-dollar monarchies of the Middle East, Norway's royals live in palaces that whisper instead of shout, and Omidyar has taken a similar approach. He avoids flashy displays, rarely gives interviews, and famously said that after realizing he could afford every luxury car in the world, owning any of them wasn't interesting anymore. He embodies what we might call luxury in seclusion, a billionaire who lives in opulence, but without the spotlight. The quiet media empire. If money is power, then information is control, and Omidyar has both. In 2010, he launched Honolulu Civil Beat, a nonprofit newsroom in Hawaii. But in 2013, he made his boldest media move yet, investing $250 million to create First Look Media. Through First Look, Omidyar founded The Intercept, a hard-hitting investigative news outlet run by journalists like Glenn Greenwald and Laura Poitras, the same team behind the Edward Snowden NSA revelations. While Omidyar rarely steps in front of cameras, his financing gave rise to one of the most aggressive watchdog media platforms in the U.S. His role? A quiet backer, influencing the narratives of power not by words, but by funding. In an age where news equals influence, Pierre Omidyar became not just a tech mogul, but a media kingmaker. Philanthropy and global influence. Omidyar's influence stretches beyond media into philanthropy. In 2004, he and his wife Pamela launched the Omidyar Network, a philanthropic investment firm that blends charity with venture capital. Since then, they've donated over $1.5 billion to causes ranging from education and microfinance to government transparency and climate initiatives. He's a signatory of the Giving Pledge, promising to give away most of his fortune, and at his peak has donated $500 million in a single year. Unlike many billionaires, Omidyar funds organizations that directly challenge big tech, the very industry that made him rich. He has backed watchdog groups, privacy advocates, and even supported whistleblowers like Frances Haugen, who exposed Facebook's internal practices. This creates a fascinating paradox. A man who made billions from the internet now funds movements to restrain its excesses. It's philanthropy, but also power. Shadow power ties back to Iran. Here's where the intrigue deepens. Pierre Omidyar is not just an American billionaire, he is also Iranian by heritage and still holds Iranian citizenship. He is, without question, the wealthiest Iranian-born billionaire alive, richer than many of the oligarchs and tycoons connected to Tehran. That alone makes him a figure of fascination. Through his mother's Roshan Institute, he has poured millions into Persian cultural programs worldwide, from language centers to academic chairs. Admirers call this cultural preservation. Critics argue it can also sway narratives about Iran's history and politics. Meanwhile, the media outlets he funds, like The Intercept, cover Middle Eastern affairs extensively. By financing the framing of global narratives, Omidyar indirectly influences how Iran itself is perceived. There is no evidence he directly bankrolls Iran's economy, but influence doesn't always come from boardrooms in Tehran. It can come from diaspora billionaires who shape how the world sees Iran, how Iranians abroad preserve their culture, and how narratives about Iran's future are written. This is what makes Omidyar a wild card, a billionaire with one foot in the West and one in Iran's legacy. Pierre Omidyar's life is proof that the most powerful billionaires don't always seek the spotlight. He built eBay, one of the internet's first great empires, then retreated into private mansions, luxury resorts, and Hawaiian seclusion. He funds journalism but rarely gives interviews. He bankrolls philanthropy but avoids public glory. And his Iranian heritage ensures that his wealth carries a weight far beyond dollars. It carries the symbolism of diaspora influence. Is he the billionaire who secretly controls the wealth of Iran? Not literally, but symbolically, perhaps. Because influence doesn't always look like presidents or monarchs. Sometimes it looks like the quiet billionaire whose money decides what stories are told, what causes thrive, and what heritage endures. In Omidyar's world, the most powerful moves are often the ones nobody notices until they've already changed the game. The story of Pierre Omidyar reminds us, true power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers from behind the scenes, shaping the future while appearing invisible. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the billionaire who secretly controls the wealth of Iran. If you enjoyed uncovering hidden fortunes and quiet influence, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Luxury Buzz for more cinematic stories of wealth, power, and the world's most mysterious billionaires. Until next time, remember, the real titans of power are often the ones you never see.